Hey everyone, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. Today, Simon shows us all 67 heroes we can expect to see in the Alpha Cavern testing, which begins in 2 weeks. I'll be calling out a few key points while we provide reaction, but without further ado, let's optimize.
Hey guys, this is Simon from Fateless.
All right, so we have Simon in the background. We are 2 weeks away from the start of alpha testing for Godforge, and Simon has given us a video here showing all 67 heroes that we will be using or working with in the cavern. So we're going to follow along with Simon and make a few comments as he shows some of the new stats and the new kits. All right, first up, this isn't the first. He starts with the commons at the bottom. So we did not have most of the stats for common and uncommon heroes in the game. I hadn't been saving them at first, and I figured as we got closer, in case they changed, I would wait to get as close as I could. But we have now gathered all of the stats for the commons and uncommons. As you can see, he goes through Medjay from the Aru faction here, a common champion. Looks great. I mean, I think you can't tell that that's a common champion. If I took away that one line there, you wouldn't know the rarity, which I think is a really common theme in this that we see, is all the champions look of such a high quality that it's kind of difficult to know that someone is a common or an uncommon. Now, of course, there's definitely more work put into the legendaries and the epics, but they haven't just phoned in the commons and uncommons. They look like they're going to be useful, and they look great too. So this is Medjay. We got all of Medjay's stats. See him as a defender, strength affinity. This is Hoplite, now from the Olympus faction, Slayer, strength affinity order. Got the stats for the first time here. So we're seeing on the higher side of speed, attack champion. Slayer, of course, makes sense. On Friday, as Simon mentions later in this video, myself and some of the other content creators will be putting out videos specifically on Loki. I'll be putting out a video on Loki, and then I'll be putting out a second video showing my first team recommendation, and in fact, it will involve this hero right here, Hoplite. So you can look forward to that coming up in just a few days on Friday. And then after Hoplite, he's talking about being a Slayer, so he's a damage dealer. Order Alliance or Alignment. We're not 100% sure which it is, Alliance or Alignment, but it means the same thing. Desert Raider. The Desert Raider's pretty fast. Good initiative here. Doesn't have any standout stats, but I think all of these champions, looking at the kits that we do get to see, I think this was the one we got to see here. Yeah, so that went by really fast, so we'll bring it back for you real quick. Attack one enemy 2 times with a 15% chance to place acid on the target for 1 turn. Could be a great early pairing with Ramses. Okay, because that is another debuff that Ramses places as well. So on his basic, places a 15% chance on each hit. So not the highest chances. I'm sure it scrolls up because he is a common, but still good chance to get acids on a basic. If you ever retaliate or a joint attack, someone like this can help put out a lot of acids. Can be really powerful. All right. Then we see the Berserker. This is from the Asgard faction, the Enraged Norseman. Ooh, he went right through that pretty quickly. So he's a Slayer as well, strength affinity, Chaos Alliance. Stats are, he's mid-speed, not too bad, but I'm sure he's going to have some component of his kit where he gets more berserkerish, if that makes any sense, and maybe can do repeated attacks or counterattacks. That wouldn't surprise me. Or it increases his resistance so he can't be stopped. I can definitely see some parts of his kit that are going to be interesting. So that's Berserker. Then we get to Satyr, the Horned Menace from Olympus. Higher HP, obviously good initiative. For this, a Disruptor, Cunning Affinity, so that's green, Chaos Alliance. So Disruptor is going to be one to put out those disables and debuffs. 48 accuracy, which is higher than his base res, definitely leads us to believe that he's a hero that's going to need to put out debuffs or disables to really make his kit work. But Satyr is another one we're just getting stats for the first time as well. And we get to see basic, attack one enemy 2 times, 35% chance to decrease turn meter 10%. So that's a really interesting, if you have a speed control team where you're trying to control a lot of turn meter, perhaps the Satyr can play an early role along with like a Zeus, who is, we'll see later, has some turn meter, and some other champions as well. Yeah, I think Aphrodite might have some turn meter as well. I think it's a turn meter boost, though. Now, and we got to see the ultimate for Satyr. Attack one enemy, 25% chance to place asleep for 1 turn. And then he gains divinity when an enemy takes a turn. So really interesting. Has a sleep disable. That could be one of, I think it is one of the only, maybe we have 1 or 2. Let me go to our spreadsheet and our hero baseline and see how many sleep debuffs we have in the game. Only one, it looks like, and that's Broomhild and possibly Satyr. So, interesting. Looks like the second champion outside of Broomhild that we know that has sleep. Could be very useful. We know that heroes or enemy that are under sleep take more damage, so it can help you almost like a decreased defense. All right, then we see the Jackal. Jackal was one we didn't really know much about up until now. Slayer archetype, a cunning or green affinity, Chaos Alliance. Here you see the stats, lower in the HP, good speed, good initiative, especially for a common, and looks like maybe a little higher on attack. So maybe as a Slayer, it's got an interesting element to the kit. But that's what we've seen out of a lot of the commons and uncommons, is that they're not going to come out with the highest base stats. That makes most sense. It makes sense, but they have something interesting in their kit. Maybe not 2 or 3 things in their kit that's interesting, but at least one thing in their kit to look at and to remember, because it may be one of only a few heroes with that functionality. So we're paying attention to every single one. So that's Jackal. Composite Bowman. This is another Slayer, Cunning Affinity, so it's green, Order Alliance. Here you see the stats, another decent speed, and Precision Deadeye. So interesting, we'll see how that will play out in his kit. Will he land a debuff, or, as shooting a poisoned arrow or something like that? We don't know, but we will certainly see how we can incorporate Composite Bowman. These are going to be some of the first enemy, I'm sure, that we'll be facing as well. So that is Composite Bowman, and we're only still in the common rarity, so just, they still look great. Brazilian Archer from the Avalon faction, Watcher of the Woods. This is a Slayer archetype, Cunning or Green Affinity, Order Alliance. Not bad HP, decent attack as a Slayer. That makes sense. So we have seen the Brazilian Archer in the Aru Reliquary Room. You have to beat 2 of them, but this is the common champion, Brazilian Archer, that we'll see in the Alpha Cavern. And Shield Maiden from Asgard is our last common champion. She is a Wisdom Affinity, the blue, Defender archetype, and a Order Alliance. You can see 1500 HP, very good HP for a common champion, and 70 resistance, very good resistance for a common champion. So she looks to be tanky, defense based, maybe an early defense option, maybe in the first 10 levels that you can use for your team. Then we will move forward to the uncommon, and we get to the Spartan. Now, the Spartan, the Royal Guard from the Olympus faction, Simon mentions that Spartan and Hoplite and Leonidas will have a mechanism, if they're on the same team, that will support each other. So we'll get into that when we get to Leonidas, but Spartan will also have it as well as Hoplite. Spartan is a brawler archetype, strength or red affinity, order alliance, very high HP, which makes sense with being a brawler archetype, and then decent attack, so it's going to get likely that dual multiplier off HP and attack. 78 resistance is also very good, so adds to that tanky element of the brawler that can really keep pushing through. Spartan looks like a very usable uncommon hero. All right. And then we get to a hero we've seen before, Shublugal, the uncommon soldier of Sargon from the Ecker faction, a defender archetype, red strength affinity, order alignment, good HP there. You see over 1500 HP, good defense, and decent resistance. So another defensive sort of tanky type of early carry to give you some level of defense against waves that you are no longer able to just wipe out in one shot. So Shublugal looks like he is going to get a lot of maybe first 20 level play, maybe first 30 level play. We'll see in the game, as he is a good defensive option that we will probably have a pretty easy time being able to get in the first, I'd say, 10 or 15 levels. All right. Here, the Nubian warrior, an uncommon bowmaster from the Aru faction. We have a Slayer, red or strength affinity, order alliance. So you can see the attack's over 100, speed's 95. That's pretty good. So fast, hits hard. Definitely looks like another very usable uncommon champion for us to start building an attack-based team. Right off the bat, someone that can hit maybe single target, but still looks strong. Still looks strong already with over 100 attack to start out. So that is the Nubian warrior. And he does look great. Like, you can't, if I covered up uncommon, I don't think you would be able to say that that was an uncommon champion off just the view of the hero itself. They are all done very well. Next one has included Nemean Lion, King of the Beasts. So this is an uncommon hero from the, I believe, Olympus as well. And defender archetype, red strength affinity, order alliance, high HP, 1755 HP. So that's, I think, the highest HP we've seen out of a common or uncommon champion thus far. And decent defense and very good res. So a very tanky defensive, another champion that we may be looking at, along with Shublugal, as a defensive option for our early teams. All right, then we get to the Knight from the Avalon faction, another uncommon, Realm Defender. He is a brawler archetype, red strength affinity, order alliance, okay, high HP already. That is now the highest HP we've seen, just shy of 2,000. 90 defense is not bad. 65 res is not bad. So looks like a very tanky defender as well. But he's a brawler, so that HP and that attack, we might be using Knight. Knight sounds like a pretty good option if we can get our hands on him in the first 20 levels or so. Definitely looks like somebody that could be helpful in clearing through waves. All right, next up in the uncommon, Kunoichi. Kunoichi is, I believe, from the Izumu faction. Let me double check just so that I don't misspeak. Izumu, right. And this is our character index here. We also have the alpha testing character index here, which just shows the characters that will be in the alpha testing. So we see Kanuchi under the Azumu, so that's correct. Don't want to give you bad information, but yes, she is a Azumu. She is a Disruptor archetype. She is a Cunning or Green affinity and a Chaos Alliance. Not bad HP, not bad solid speed, and she probably, if I had to guess, places, debuffs and disables, and so her accuracy will need to be built up, but that's likely, or maybe she has turn meter boost or something like that, but she's going to be an interesting one to see her kit. I like her hair too, or her, whatever that is coming out the back. I wonder if she whips it around and uses it in a move. All right, so this is our last uncommon. This is Mummy from the Aru faction, Embalmed Servant here. So we see a Brawler, another Brawler archetype. We have a Wisdom or Blue affinity and a Chaos Alliance. So as a Brawler, we see above average HP, above average attack. So both of those things are good. Decent, very decent res, and so this, and not bad initiative. So it's going to be the kind of hero that we're going to look to use to clear early waves. Between this or the Knight is kind of like a good, which Brawler in the uncommon class would you go for? But this is our last hero. So those are all of our common and uncommons. There's 16 total. And now we'll get to the rares. And as you see there, Mummy puts Drain and Curse. Might be a nice combo or synergy with Guan Yu as well. So very interesting. And he has the dual multiplier because of the Brawler archetype. All right, so now we have Voldkalak, the Shadow Shifter, the rare hero from the Virage faction, a Brawler archetype, red strength affinity, Chaos Alliance, so good HP, decent attack for a Brawler, obviously makes sense. But when Simon starts to show his abilities is when we get to see some cool stuff. So the basic here, attack one enemy with a 40% chance to place 2 stacks of bleed on the target. So we are going to be putting out a video on Friday, and it is along these lines. So this is very interesting, and we've just learned it, and will be added into the video on Friday. So that'll be your teaser for that. But here is his core ability. The Rabid Bite attacks one enemy 2 times, 25% chance each hit to place lock core for 1 turn on each hit on a 5-turn cooldown. That is a very powerful core ability, and I can't wait to see when we can get Voldkalak in the tower. Now, when can we get him? Well, let's see. We're going to go back real quick to the last tab here, and this is the Alpha Cavern Testing Experience tab that I've started to build. It shows all the floors down to 151 with Fafnir being the end, and it shows the enemy waves from what we've seen in videos that Simon has shared, and it shows what the 1-star challenge is, which is always to defeat the stage, what the 1-star reward is, where we've seen it, what the 2-star challenge is, and the 2-star reward, and then the 3 rewards you're likely to get, as well as the drop rates for those rewards. Then you can see that we have every 10th level is a mini boss, every 30 levels is a boss level, and that is lining up with some of the individual levels that Simon has spoke about, like level 50 with Isis, he said was very tough. But you can see here we can get, looks like Broomhild possibly is the champion we can acquire from beating level 25. So far in the drop rates we've seen, it's roughly a 15% hero drop rate. If that is true across all levels, I don't know if it's variable or if they have it just held fast across all levels. But at a 15% chance to pull Broomhild, or possibly pull a hero. I'm not sure how it works exactly. But with only 67 heroes in the game, it's still very good chances for you to pull heroes that are going to be useful each time. And I doubt we're going to be pulling a ton of duplicates in the early rounds, because we'll be able to progress up levels, and each level will likely not give us a different hero each time. But when we do get a hero, I doubt it will be the same hero each time. So we can see here that level 20 is Leonidas, and we've seen that in the video where Simon faced off against him, and Leonidas was like 2 or 3 times taller than all the others around him. So we captured all of that detail, the energy cost. Now remember, the key thing to note about energy cost for the alpha is that when you are attempting a level you have not beaten before, then it does not cost you any energy if you beat the level, and it does not cost you any energy if you don't beat the level. It's only when you go back to a level you've already beaten to farm it that it costs you energy. So that is really neat. It doesn't slow you down in the sense that as far as many levels as you want to progress, you can progress. Now, you may have to go back and farm levels in order to get certain things to where you can progress, which is I'm fully expecting. I don't think you're going to just be able to push from 1 to 151. I think it's better thought out than that. So from their testing and how they've talked about it. But this is what we know, and by the time we get done with the first alpha wave, all of this information will be filled out, and we will share it with you for the second wave of alpha and for the competition wave of alpha that will be coming up September 3rd. All right, so Vodkalak looks like an awesome, hard to say name. He also puts Despair on AoE, 50% chance to place Despair on each target for 2 turns on his ultimate, and gains Divinity when placing a debuff on the enemy. Not bad. He's a rare, so he only has 1,000 ultimate cost. Really looks like he's a very useful rare all the way maybe through the tower, depending on how you build your team. All right, now we are at Tristane, the Tortured Heart, a rare hero from the Avalon faction, and in their mythology is heavily tied to Isolde, who we'll see just up here in a little bit, and their kits play off of each other, which is really cool. But talking about Tristane, he's a defender class. He's a strength or red affinity, order alliance. Good, now he's a rare. He's got better HP here, good defense. His speed is not bad, and he's got high res. So he looks like a solid defender. Now, when Isolde puts her, I think, ultimate out, if he is on the enemy team, he has a very high chance, I think almost it can't be resisted, of being charmed by her, that debuff. So then she will take his turn. So you'll want to be careful if you do have Tristane on your team and you're going up against Isolde, that Isolde is going to be like slightly broken towards your Tristane, I guess is the only way to put it. We'll talk about it more when we get up to Isolde's kit. Then we see Ramses, the Great Pharaoh. He's rare from a Rue faction, one of our starter champions. He is a Slayer archetype, a red affinity, strength affinity, and a Chaos alliance. So good attack. He's going to hit. He's got good speed too. 96 is a high speed. And then we know he has acid as a debuff, which wears through shield and defense. And we don't exactly know how it does it, but definitely looks to be strong. Simon mentions that he is a very strong champ. A lot of people are going to be using him. And I'm pretty sure he was the winner of the Which Starter Champ Would You Pick poll that they did as well. All right, on to Minotaur, the rare champion from the Olympus faction, the Maze Beast. He is a brawler archetype, a red strength affinity, Chaos alliance, so he has higher than average HP and attack, so those is going to be that dual multiplier of those two, and again, res is higher too, so he's tankier in that way. Then I'm pretty sure he shows, we've seen Minotaur's passive. and I think, he shows his ultimate. Mess with the bull, get the horns, removes a random disable from this hero, places Stalwart and Retaliate for 2 turns on this hero, gains 20 divinity when taking damage, gains 200 divinity when receiving a disable, starts with 150 divinity, and has an ultimate cost of 700. So this is a very interesting ultimate that we see on Minotaur, and we know he's built as a very tanky, resistance-based damage dealer, but very interesting to see that as well. He shows the passives here for a second on a few of them, and then he goes on to Lady Zoc. So we've seen Lady Zoc before, another starter champion. Like I said, on Friday, I'm going to be putting out a video just showing a team build around her. She is a Slayer archetype. She is a red Strength Affinity, Chaos Alliance. Chaos Alliance. Good attack, decent speed, and she puts bleed as a debuff on the enemy, and we know that bleeds can be stacked up to 10 times on an enemy. So a really interesting hero that we see here is Lady Zoc. And then we jump to our last starter hero, and that is Guan Yu. Now, you notice those 3 all have these symbols right here. That is the increase attack leadership bonus, or leader bonus, that they all share, 20% increase attack in all battles. So Guan Yu here is a rare from the Tian faction. He's the loyal general. He's a Slayer archetype like the other 2, red Strength Affinity like the other 2, and Order Alliance. He has the highest HP of those 3, and he's got decent attack. And he puts Drain as a debuff, which helps heal him from part of the damage that he does. All right, next up we see Asag as our next rare champion. All right, so we get to Asag. He is a rare hero from the Ecker faction, the Grotesque Golem. He's a brawler archetype. He's a red Strength Affinity and a Chaos Alliance. So you see high HP, decent attack, and good res, very typical of the brawler class. So that is Asag. And we saw Asag's level at 23. So level 23 is the level with Asag's hero image, and you face him in wave 2 and in wave 3. So it looks like he might be the hero possible reward for that, beating that faction, or that level in the Alpha Cavern, sorry. All right, next up we see Tutankhamun, the rare from the Aru faction, the Curse of the Pharaoh, Slayer archetype, Cunning Green Affinity, and Order Alliance. So you see higher attack, 120, that's pretty good attack, good initiative, 93, and we're expecting Tutankhamun to be a pretty straightforward damage dealer, but may also put some kind of a debuff as well, or have other mechanisms in his kit. That is Tutankhamun. And now we are going to get to and you can see Tutankhamun also has a leader bonus, but we didn't get to see exactly what it was. It isn't one that we've seen otherwise. And then we see Isolde, the rare from Avalon. She's the Queen of Cornwall. She is an Invoker archetype, which means she's like a healer buffer, bad A buffer. She's Cunning Green Affinity, Order Alliance. She has kind of low stats in every area except speed. We've touched on that a few times. But now we know that she does high, well, we'll show this as he gets into her abilities. So not only does she have decent res, but here is her ultimate Elixir of Fate. Removes 1 random debuff from all allies, so it's a cleanse of her allies of any debuffs. Increases turn meter of all allies by 15%. So there's another turn meter hero that could be a part of that sort of team. Increases by a further 5% if the debuff is removed from an ally. If Tristane is on the enemy team, has a 75% chance to place Charm for 2 turns on them. I imagine that 75% chance will scroll up to 100%. She gains 35 divinity when placing a buff on an ally. So looks like her kit is very useful, though we will need to build up her stats, HP, defense, res, and speed to get her moving through her skills fast. So her core, Queen of Cornwall, places defense up 1 on all allies for 2 turns and increases, so that's a 20% increase of defense on all allies for 2 turns and increases the turn meter of all allies by 10%. So at first I read this and I was like, man, not a defense up 2, but she is a rare and there is a turn meter piece added as well. So I kind of was like, okay, yeah, that's okay. 20% defense up. That's going to help with how much you have to build her. And then she brings another turn meter mechanism as well. So across several of her skills, you can see a few different turn meters, 10%. So that's going to definitely play into a speed team that's trying to stop the enemy from taking turns. When an ally defender is attacked, her passive heals all allies by 5% of her max HP. So it looks like we're going to want to build that HP up on her so that we get the largest heal from her passive. All right, so that's Isolde. Then we get to Icarus. And Icarus, a rare from the Olympus faction, Scorched Pride, Slayer archetype, Cunning Green Affinity, Chaos Alliance. So you see 130 is a high attack, 92 good initiative. So definitely going to be possibly a single target, nuker or someone who can hit pretty good, and has a decent ability to get to his ultimate. I don't believe we get to see his ultimate. Simon does mention that they've done work with his wings to keep it from clipping across the other heroes when he's in the battles. You'll see that as a theme too in some of the larger heroes we're going to see later in the video. Their wings are folded up during their T-pose, which is really smart. Lets them kind of expand them during their move and look huge and not be covering up in other heroes on their own team. Okay, so next up we have the rare Hippolyta from the Olympus faction as well, the Amazonian Queen. She's a defender archetype, Cunning Green Affinity, and Order Alliance. So she has good HP, good defense, good resistance. In fact, one of the higher resistances until we saw Heimdall. All right, so that's Hippolyta. She does boast the lowest attack in the game, though, at 61. That is the lowest attack we've seen. All right, next up is the rare hero from the Avalon faction, Kate Sith, the Veiled Prowler. This is a disruptor archetype, meaning putting disables and debuffs on the enemy, Cunning Green Affinity, and a Chaos Alliance. So you see 50 accuracy higher than the resistance. They're going to have that so that you can start to build accuracy on this hero and land those debuffs and disables. Speed's not bad, 95, so you could definitely make this your lead hero if this is the only disruptor that you have at the time. Cool looking hero too. I am definitely going to do a video at some point. I don't know if I'll do it before the alpha or not, but I want to do a video just showing a team of puppies, or I don't know if Kate Sith is a cat or a dog, just like the Nemean lion is a cat, but there's plenty of dogs and kind of cats. The Shishi is up next, and a couple of them do this sort of scratch. I want to create a team of pups, and we'll see. Maybe it'll be after the alpha. Like you see this scratch move with the idol. I want to create a team just of puppies at some point, so look for that in the future as well. Next up, the rare hero from Tian, Shishi, the Jade Protector, a defender archetype, Wisdom Blue Affinity, Order Alliance, higher HP. They're almost 2,000. Now that we have the updated stats for Shishi, you can see decent res there, and also not the highest defense, but which is surprising being a defender class, but decent res and good HP. So that is Shishi. Then we see Shinigami, a rare hero from the Izumu faction, a Slayer archetype. With a weapon that big, you have to be a Slayer archetype. Blue or Wisdom Affinity and Order Alliance. 131 attack is a very good attack, just outside sort of the top 5. And so we believe Shinigami is probably going to hit pretty hard. And we've seen that Shinigami, Simon even had Shinigami in his early account that he was testing before level 30 or 25 even. He already had Shinigami. Now you will notice that Shishi has a leader bonus, leader aura here, but it isn't speed. This is speed. Isolde has speed, and it's that. It looks like a wing, so we're not sure exactly what that is yet, but we'll be looking forward to getting all of these icons figured out as we get into Alpha as well. All right, next up is Maria Morevna, and Maria has an increased attack leader bonus there too. We don't see exactly how much it is, but she will have that increased attack right there. She is rare from the Virage faction, warrior princess, slayer archetype, blue or wisdom affinity, order alliance, 106 decent attack. She looks like, he shows her kit a little bit. She looks like she's got a kit designed to, so here you have her basic is a mage hunter, attacks enemy, gives her an extra hit if the attack has 3, or if the target has 3 or more buffs. So the more they're buffed up, the more she hits. Then her core is called Battle Queen, attacks all AoE, ignores shield and barrier on each target with a 5-turn cooldown. That could be extremely powerful against teams that have really shielded or buffed up themselves very well and are hard to get through. One thing we've heard of is acid might burn through these sort of shields or barriers, but also looks like Maria Marovna. I can't say her last name perfectly, but we'll call her Maria M. And she could maybe be a great addition to a Ramses team, so we'll see. Lastly, this is her ultimate. Breach defenses. Attacks an enemy, reduces the defense of the target by 2%, stacking up to 5 times, so that's 10% defense reduction. Now she needs to use it 5 times, so it's for a longer fight and for a boss possibly. She gains 25 divinity whenever an enemy gains a buff, and she gains an additional 75 divinity if that buff is immortal. So I have a pretty sneaky suspicion that one of the bosses we are going to face is going to put immortal on itself. I'm going to go out and guess it's the Golden Guardian, and that she may be very niche or very good against that boss or that type of boss. But we'll see. This is all pure speculation. Then we get to the next one. Oh, and her passive. Resolute Assault. She gains 3% increased damage inflicted for each buff on the target. I'm not sure if the wording is this target or the target, but basically for each buff, she gets stronger, is my idea. Is the stronger the enemy is, the more buffs they have on them, the stronger she gets. That's what her kit says to me. So that's exciting. Also remember that passive can be imprinted on a weapon. The imprint and the passive are not identical. Like the passive the hero has is one thing. The imprint is a lesser version of it. So we haven't captured every imprint and passive. We will get that information, like I said, as we get into the Alpha Cavern and start gathering data. Up next is Anaxanamun, the rare hero from the Aru faction, and Simon mentions from the movies like The Mummy. Anaxanamun was featured in those. She is an Invoker archetype, the Sunrise Redeemer, an Invoker archetype meaning she's a healer and a bad A buffer, and she's a blue or wisdom affinity and an order alliance. She has higher HP or above average HP, decent speed, and that's so she can get out and keep healing the team. She also has pretty good initiative, so I'm sure that her ultimate is very good at healing her whole team or something of that nature, or putting out buffs on her whole team. That is a Anaxanamun. All right, then we have Skadi, a rare hero from the Asgard faction, the Frostborn Huntress, one of the Frost Giants he mentions. She is a Disruptor archetype, putting out debuffs and disables. She's Eternal Affinity, the Purple or Eternal Affinity, Chaos Alliance. She's got decent HP, decent accuracy, a higher accuracy than Rez, you can see, and her speed's not bad at 93. So she's trying to get out in front and put those debuffs and disables. And as we'll see here, that debuff and disable, as you would expect, is freeze. So on her core, Frozen Arrows attacks 3 random enemies or a triple hitter on a boss. Each hit has a 50% chance to place freeze on the target for 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown. So we're definitely going to want to scroll her to get that down to possibly a 4-turn cooldown, and maybe a 75% chance to place freeze. But that is the first hero we've seen with freeze as a disable. And here you see her ultimate. Attack AoE, 85% chance to place speed down 1 on each target for 2 turns. If the target is under freeze, she places speed down 2, or the better version, for 2 turns. She also gains 50 divinity every time a freeze is placed on an ally or an enemy. So that's interesting. So if the other team is placing freeze on her, she's gaining divinity, or on her team, she's gaining divinity just as much as if she's placing it on the enemy. So that's a neat little add in there, is on ally or enemy. That is Scotty, and then you see she starts with 400 divinity, and her ultimate cost is 1150. Her passive, Winter Prowess, when attacking enemies under freeze, reduces the target's divinity by 10%, so it keeps the other team from being able to use their ultimate and cut in. That is Scotty. Dagonet. Okay, so we have seen Dagonet being used quite a bit. He is one of the decreased defense champs we've seen, and I think possibly the only decreased defense rare champion that we've seen in Alpha. So you can see on his core, he places Vanish for 2 turns. Then he has a 75% chance to place defense down 1 on AoE for 2 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. That's his core ability. So that's really powerful because it will help to get through waves to have decreased defense. His ultimate is attack an enemy and attack each enemy that is under decreased defense down. So we're going to want to build enough accuracy so he lands, enough crit rate, and scroll him up so he lands as many of those as possible. And then he gains his divinity whenever making a joint attack. So obviously, heroes like Shamash or Aphrodite, who have any kind of joint attack feature, would be powerful to pair him with as well. He'll gain this Jester's Dance even faster. Sorry, there we went to Fool's Courage. Oh, we missed it again. Okay, so his passive, Fool's Courage, 30% chance to make a joint attack with a basic ability when an ally attacks an enemy that has less than 50% HP. So that means anytime one of his teammates attacks an enemy who has less than 50% HP, he has a 30% chance to join in with his basic, which is awesome. So that makes him really powerful and explains why we've been seeing him being used by Simon so far in the alpha testing he's been doing. The last rare, Bauk, from the Virage faction, the Shadow Beast. He is a brawler archetype, eternal or purple affinity, chaos alignment. So you see really good HP and attack as a brawler with decent res, and not the highest speed, more tanky, but decent initiative to use that ultimate as well. So that is Bauk, and that wraps up the rares for the alpha. Then we get to our next champion. This is Leonidas. You see a 20% HP in all battles, and he does and we also get to see, I'll go back real quick. So this is his basic spear thrust. For Leonidas, attacks one enemy, 12% HP is one multiplier, 90% attack is the other multiplier. They're added together with a 50% chance to place defense down 2 for 1 turn. So this is the only epic champion so far we've seen with defense down 2. So the Dagonet upgrade looks like Leonidas, but we also get to see if Spartan is on the same team, will heal this hero and Spartan by 30% of the damage dealt. So it's like a lifesteal that's built in if Spartan is on the same team as Leonidas. Then we see the ability upgrade if Leonidas is awakened to the first level. So also, he will place attack down 2, reducing the enemy's attack by 40% for 1 turn if he is awakened to his first ability upgrade. So we get to see that for him as well. Then we get to Bastet. This is the next epic hero from the Aru faction, the Daughter of Ra. She is a Slayer archetype, a red strength affinity, and an order alliance. You see her attack at 139 is very good, and her speed 96 is also very good. And Simon confirms that she smacks. We've also seen her as a boss in the tower that Simon was showing, I believe, as well. He or maybe he mentioned it. I think he mentioned that Bastet was a mini boss in the Alpha Cavern. So that is Bastet. Looks like a good damage dealer to be using. And then we see Set, also from the Aru faction, a Disruptor archetype, green cunning affinity, and chaos alignment. Decent HP, so tanky. Not as fast as you would expect from a Disruptor, but 98 high initiative. So looks like perhaps Set's ultimate does the biggest disruptions, and so getting him around to his ultimate faster may be the goal more so than putting debuffs on his core or his basic. We'll see once we get to see Set's set or kit. Then we have Musashi, the epic from Tian. Tian? Yeah, Tian. Musashi? Tian or Izumu? Man, sometimes it's hard to remember these things. Index. Izumu. There we go. Good thing I checked. All right, so yes. Here we have Musashi, the epic from the Izumu faction. Let's get that right. Victorious duelist, the Slayer archetype, who is cunning, green affinity, order alliance. You see the attack 133 is very high, 97 speed, so he moves quick, and that makes sense with his archetype and everything like that. So that is Musashi. We've seen Simon using him quite a bit. And then we get to Mordred. So Mordred is an epic from the Avalon faction, the Vengeful Heir. He is a Disruptor archetype, cunning, green affinity, and a Chaos Alliance. So you can see not bad HP, pretty tanky, good speed, 99, good initiative, 98. And his accuracy is almost as high as his res. So being a Disruptor that we know puts both debuffs and disables on the enemy, it's good to see him start with a higher accuracy because you're going to want to build up that accuracy and that crit rate. Make sure he's landing all of those debuffs and disables and controlling the enemy waves. But his kit looks awesome. I don't think he does go into it a little bit here. His ultimate is called the Bane of Avalon, AoE, 250% times attack. If the target's under Confuse, it inflicts 100% increased damage. So he suddenly becomes like a damage dealer if his accuracy is good enough and his crit rate's good enough to land all of his debuffs and disables. Now, if the target is under Corrupt, not Confused, then it decreases their divinity and turn meter 10%. And in fact, perhaps both of those things could be true. If they're under Confuse and Corrupt, you could get all three of those things. He gains 25 divinity when damaging an enemy. So that's an interesting way to gain divinity. Doesn't say how much you have to damage. And then we see his core, which we've seen the animation for. It places accuracy up 2 on this hero for 2 turns. Just goes to show we're trying to build that accuracy in his stats. Then has a 75% chance, possibly up to 100% with scrolls, to place Confuse for 1 turn on all enemies. That is powerful on a 5-turn cooldown. I'm imagining that will scroll down to 4 or 3 turns, probably 3. All right, his basic attacks an enemy with a 50% chance to place Corrupt on the target for 2 turns. So a 50-50 chance, possibly rolls up to 75% chance, who knows, to put Corrupt on the target for 2 turns. What a really good kit. What a really good kit. So we are seeing this one for really the first time, an epic hero from the Aru faction, the Hound of Duat, Grave Watcher. He's a defender archetype, green, cunning affinity, chaos alignment, higher HP, higher defense, good speed, good initiative, and good res. This Hound of Duat looks to be a good defensive hero to provide you with, climbing in the later stages of the Alpha Cavern. Really cool to see, clad in gold. Like I said, want to do a team full of dog heroes. We all have that. I think we have 4 or 5. So sorry about that. I would love to do a dog themed team at some point. So look for that. All right, next up is the epic hero from the Avalon faction. Sorry, not the Avalon faction, the Olympus faction, Achilles. The Myrmidon's Wrath. Achilles looks great. Gotta love Achilles. He's a Slayer archetype, makes perfect sense. Cunning or green affinity, Order Alliance. So you see a high attack, high speed. That was definitely something we thought we would see. High initiative. I'm sure his ultimate's going to be pretty powerful as well. That is Achilles. All right, next one is really cool. Look at that giant axe, okay? This is Percival, an epic hero from the Avalon faction, a brawler archetype, blue wisdom affinity, Order Alliance. So you're seeing a high HP, high attack, still good defense, good res, and a little slower, but, you could build it up, and he, I imagine, can smack. Simon says he can hit pretty hard, and with that, battle axe, I only imagine he is going to be able to carry you through some waves. I think Percival is going to be one you are going to be very excited to pull as an epic hero. Next up, we see Osiris, the epic from the Aru faction, Lord of Silence, a brawler archetype, blue, wisdom affinity, Order Alliance, high HP, higher attack, that goes with the brawler, and higher res. He's a little slower and his initiative's a little lower, but again, he is a tanky brawler type to be able to carry you through waves and do a lot of damage based on that dual multiplier. So that is Osiris. Then we have, also from the Aru faction, Imhotep. He is the Priest of Ra, an invoker archetype, blue or wisdom affinity, Order Alliance. He has higher HP, not bad, it's not the highest, but it's higher HP, higher defense, good speed he's 100, so that puts him in the top tier in speed. His initiative's not bad, and his res is not bad either. So he looks to be your healer, bad A buffer, he'll go quick, and keep the team buffed and healed. Imhotep. We get to see his core ability, the Pillar of Support. He heals all allies by 25% of their max HP and places Stalwart on each target for 2 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. His ultimate, Steps of Ascension, places Radiance 2 on them for 1 turn, on the whole team for 1 turn, then reduces the divinity cost for all allies by 3%, stacking up 3 times to 9%, so reducing the divinity cost by almost 10% for his whole team. So that looks really powerful when you're trying to build a team that gets to its ultimates quicker. He gains divinity, 25 divinity, when a buff on an ally expires, which is a really neat thing because, if he only puts it on for 1 turn, they're expiring pretty quickly, but it's only helping him build his divinity back up faster. All right, then we get to Broomhild. She has a 20% defense boost in all battles as her leader bonus. She is the epic hero from Asgard, the exiled Valkyrie, a defender archetype who we saw in the announced trailer. She's blue, wisdom affinity, Order Alliance. She has higher HP, higher defense, good initiative, and good res. She is definitely going to be a hero that you are going to want to have as your defender. We've seen that she has intercept in her kit and looks very powerful as a defender for your team. All right, next up we have the epic from Olympus, Pandora, the Keeper of Chaos. Okay, she is a disruptor archetype. She is purple or eternal affinity and Chaos Alliance. She has higher pretty good HP, Very good speed. She's 100 as well. Good initiative, 94. And she's going to need a little accuracy built on her, I'm sure, to put her debuffs and disables. But her kit has looked pretty good as we've seen it. So that is Pandora. Next up, the Green Knight, the epic from the Avalon faction, the Knight of Trials. The Brawler archetype, Eternal or Purple Affinity, and Order Alliance. Has very good HP, good attack, good defense, not bad speed, and good resistance. This is a hero that can carry you through content, and you are going to be excited if you pull this hero. That is Green Knight. All right, then, from the Ecker faction, the epic hero Gilgamesh, the King of Heroes, a Brawler archetype, purple or Eternal Affinity, Order Alliance, so he has very good HP, 2400 HP, 121 attack, both very high. It's going to give him very good dual multiplier. He's going to do a lot of damage. 74 res is still very good. He's going to be hard to stop. So Gilgamesh is a good-looking champion, and I believe Simon shows... Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's on Beowulf. He shows his... Yeah. So Beowulf, we will see his hero, his basic skill here. He attacks one enemy. If the target is a brawler or a boss, increases attack by 5%, stacking up 3 times to 15%. Very interesting boss killer type mechanic in his basic, core, and ultimate. So now his core attacks one enemy, which is fine if you're hitting a boss. If the target is a brawler or a boss, very tanky, then decrease the target's attack by 5%, stacking up to 3 times. So he can decrease their attack by 15% on a 4-turn cooldown and increase his attack by 15% on his basic. Then his ultimate, Thane's Wrath, attacks one enemy as well. If the target is a brawler or boss, increase this hero's crit damage by 10%, stacking up 3 times, so 30%. He also gains 50 divinity when landing a strong hit, which is doubled against brawlers or bosses. Starts with 250 divinity, and his ultimate cost is 850 as an epic, which is seems very easy to reach. So he looks like and with a 25% crit damage in all battles as his leader bonus, Beowulf looks like a great boss killer. Maybe one we will be looking for as part of the Fafnir level 151 team. We will have to see. Then that is it for the epics. We're going to get into the 17 Legos that are in the alpha. So this is Shamash. Shamash has this 20% initiative boost in all battles. So we see this now, and we know that Shishi had the same one. So Shishi also has an initiative boost, probably not as big as this, maybe a 15% initiative boost in all battles for Shishi. And Shamash has a 20% initiative in all battles. Leader boost, helping him get around to his ultimate more quickly. All right. He is a legendary hero from the Ecker faction. That's Shamash. Flames of Truth. He's an invoker archetype, which means he's healing, and he's a bad A buffer. He's also a red or strength affinity and an order alliance. Has good HP, high defense, good speed at 97, good res, and we know that he has a joint attack mechanism in his kit that brings in AoE, brings in the whole team on an attack, which is extremely powerful. Shamash may be in my top 3 heroes that I want to get and test in the Alpha Cavern experience. Oh, we get to see his ultimate, Light of the Heavens. It revives a random ally with 30% HP and 30% turn meter, then places Radiance 2 and Attack up 2 for 2 turns on everyone on his team. He also heals all allies by 30% of their max HP, and places Barrier, which is better than Shield, equal to 100% of overhealing. We're not exactly sure of all of what that means, but if you do more healing than maybe you can do, the Barrier is what allows you to capture that. Sorry. The first time an ally is killed in battle, he gains full divinity and he activates his passive automatically. That is an incredible feature in his kit. I almost want to read it again. The first time an ally is killed in battle, I wonder if that you have 3 allies, if it works for each ally. That's crazy if it does like that, or if it's just the first time any ally is killed in battle, he gains full divinity and basically revives them with 30% HP, 30% turn meter, puts the 2 buffs on him, or on everyone. So it's like you could almost build it so that you have one member of your team really, 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 really glassy. Like really light HP and defense, and maybe the wrong affinity and gets killed immediately. That will bring Shamash's ultimate into play and revive that champion, put the buffs on everyone. And barrier. It looks like it places barrier AoE too. So honestly, that is, and then whenever an ally joins an attack, he gains 60 divinity. So that's 180 divinity on a 4-person team, or 240 divinity on a 5-person team every time he does his, I believe, probably core, which does an ally or a join attack. Really strong hero. So Hercules is another hero we've seen, legendary from the Olympus faction. His basic attacks all enemies and has a 75% chance to place acid on each target for 2 turns. We had seen this. We talked about maybe pairing him with Ramses. There's also some others that have acid now we've seen as well. And you see 100% times attack, 90% times HP, because he is a brawler, so he gets that dual multiplier. This is his passive, 0 to hero, prevents this hero's death and heals them to 100% of their max HP. Like, he just can't die. He comes back and gets 100% HP. Very cool. That's going to be really useful PvP down the road, but really cool for helping you stay alive in very hard waves later in the Alpha Cavern. Next up is Heimdall from the Asgard faction, the Bifrost Warden, legendary as well, Defender archetype, red, strength affinity, Order Alliance, high HP, tied for the highest defense in the game, has the highest resistance in the game, good speed, good initiative. There's nothing we don't like about Heimdall. He is incredible. We've even gotten to see his ultimate. It's a giant Bifrost ice wall, so looks amazing. Also, okay, so next up from the Asgard faction as well, we see Loki, the Master of Mischief, a Disruptor archetype, Cunning or Green Affinity, and Chaos Alliance. He has good HP, good attack even, high speed, high initiative, over 100 on both. One of the few champions in the game over 100 on both the speed and initiative. And you can see his accuracy is 52, so it's higher as compared to his res, and that's going to help him as he puts out his debuffs and disable. So that is Loki, and he will be in the alpha. Now, many folks will be looking forward to this Friday. The content creators will all be putting out a full breakdown on Loki. His full kit was released, but we have to wait till Friday to put it out on him. So we will give you full breakdowns on Friday for Loki. All right, next up is Isis. From the Aru faction, the mother of Aru, an Invoker archetype, healer, bad A buffer, therefore, green, Cunning Affinity, and Chaos Alliance. Good HP, 2200 HP, good defense, decent attack even, good speed, good initiative, good res. Not much you're not going to like about Isis. She is definitely the support and bad A buffer and healer that you always dreamed of. She's like, I would say, the epitome or maybe the ideal healer in the game or in the Alpha Cavern experience at this point. She's my #1 Invoker. We get to see her ultimate. She revives all allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter. But if Horus is revived by this ability, it places Radiance 2 on him for 2 turns. So you'll see that Isis and Horus have a really good synergy. So if you manage to get both of them, you lucky duck, you know, like, I'm going to be jealous of you if it's not me. But if you have Horus and you have Isis, their kits work very well together, as we'll see going forward. So Horus would get Radiance 2 on him for 2 turns. And we'll see when we get to Horus that there are some benefits as well back and forth. This is Hel from the Asgard faction. We see she has a leader bonus of 30% increase attack in all battles, which is phenomenal. She's one of the best looking heroes, I think, in the game. I mean, she's awesome. She floats, and she just has some really cool aesthetic and look. Her ultimate, the Dead That Are Due, is very interesting. AoE attack revives all defeated enemies with 100% HP and places Confuse on them for 2 turns, and it cannot be resisted or blocked. She gains 50 divinity when applying Curse or Confuse. So you have 1 or maybe 2 heroes or enemies left in the wave you're fighting, and she comes in, does her ultimate, lifts the other 2 or 3 dead or defeated enemies, gives them back 100% HP, but places Confuse on them for 2 turns, meaning that for the next 2 turns, they're going to attack their own teammates at a reduced damage, but still they're going to be attacked. So if you have 1 left and you have 3 with Confuse, how long does it take for those 3 to take out their 1? I don't know exactly how the Confuse, how it chooses who to attack. That'll be interesting to see, but it probably won't be long before the Confused eliminate each other or eliminate everyone, or you at least have the chance to nuke them down after that. Very interesting ultimate mechanic here with reviving defeated enemies with 100% HP. I think we're really going to be looking to see how that works in the game fully. All right, next up is Dracula from the Virage faction. We have seen quite a bit of Dracula. His kit looks amazing. He's the first legendary that Simon pulled while doing his little testing. And I would love to get Dracula. That would be a great addition, I think, to any team. He is a legendary from Virage, as we mentioned. That's Dracula, the Count of Transylvania, a brawler archetype, one of only 2 cunning or green affinity brawlers, and a Chaos Alliance. So he has high HP, high attack, and good res, and we've seen that his kit has a damage multiplier based on the number of bleeds out on his team and the enemy team. So extremely powerful hero. Next up, we see Anubis from the Aru faction, the Shepherd of Shadows, a brawler archetype, green or cunning affinity, and a Chaos Alliance. Very high HP, almost 2,500 HP, so one of the highest top 5 HP in the game. High attack, 139, so amazing. Good defense, good speed, good initiative, and good res. So Anubis looks awesome, and I think we'd all want Anubis on our team. Looks cool, too. Looks really neat. It's got, like, ribs around him and stuff. Like he split something open to come out of it. Really cool. All right, next up, Ra. We've probably seen Ra more than any hero, but because of the announced trailer and all that. But Ra is a legendary hero from the Aru faction, the Divine Eclipse. He's a Slayer archetype, so he's a damage dealer. Blue Wisdom Affinity and an Order Alliance. Good HP for a damage dealer, almost 1,500 HP. He's got, I think, the highest attack in the game at 152. He's got 100 initiative, and that's very high. And he's got decent res as well. So as a damage dealer, he doesn't look like a glass cannon, has high attack, and we've seen that all of his attacks, basic, core, and ultimate, are all AoE. So definitely a damage dealer you're going to want to have on your roster. All right, and as we mentioned, you see Hel has the attack, increased attack. Ra also has an increased attack leader bonus or leader aura that we didn't see there, and Anubis has increased HP leader bonus as well that we didn't see there. Okay, and Quetzalcoatl, Quick Q, has increased speed. I think it's increased 19% speed in all battles, something like that. Where is Quetzalcoatl? Oh, I have it. Okay, we'll check after, but I believe that is so she's one of the fastest speeds. She's got good HP and good defense. This is an invoker, so we've seen she's going to be buffing and healing your team. Also another great healer as well as Isis. a little faster too. So this is Quetzalcoatl, the Star of Dawn from the Amayacan faction. Definitely going to be a very sought after hero, I think, as well. And you notice how here in the idle pose, they've brought the wings in so that it isn't going to be clipping other heroes while it's waiting to do its attack. But I imagine that the wings will come out during the basic and core. We've already seen the ultimate where she flies up in the air and hovers, which looks wicked cool. But I like how they've brought the wings into her side while in the idle pose. Next up is the legendary hero from the Olympus faction. How can you not have from the Olympus faction? Zeus, the king of the gods, a Slayer archetype, doing damage, eternal purple affinity, Order Alliance. Decent HP for attacker. 146 attack is high. That's great. Speed is high. Initiative is high. And we've seen that he also possibly puts a debuff, I think, out as well. Definitely one of the damage dealers you're going to want for end game. So his ultimate, Assemble the Council, places attack up 2, puts a 40% increased attack on this hero for 2 turns, then attacks an enemy. If the target enemy is slain, increases this hero's attack and crit damage by 10% up to 50%, and this bonus persists across rounds. That's awesome. Gains 50 divinity when dealing damage to an enemy. So that looks like a really great ultimate. Initial divinity is 0. Ultimate cost is 1,000. That is so that it lasts across rounds, lets you keep building up because you've got to hit it 5 times to max it out. Okay, next up we see a legendary hero that we haven't seen in a while, probably since 2D art. And you see the 30% attack in all battles leader bonus, but this is YDG. Ydragoch, I think is how he said it. It is a legendary hero from Avalon faction, the protector of Avalon, if you will. Slayer archetype, eternal or purple affinity, and Order Alliance. Decent HP, 158 attack is, I think, the highest attack. I think that's higher than Raw's there. So this is probably the highest attack champion in the game that we've seen thus far. And Simon mentions having your dragon on your team. This started out as a boss, but he wanted to make it a playable hero that could be on your team to fight against Fafnir. So YDG looks like the top attack stat champion in the game at this point, and a really cool looking champion. And you can see the idle breaker, the wings stay at the side and then go out when he does the idle breaker or does the move. So really cool. They've kind of built it into all these champions that are wider or bigger than others. So you see the wings fly during the idle breaker, but then they come back into its side. Really well done, I think, on that. And then we get to see passive for YDG. Ancient Power is nuts. Inflicts 30% more damage and receives 30% less damage, 60% swing from enemies under Blaze or Ether Burn. So we'll be looking for some champs that plays Blaze and Ether Burn, and we'll talk about how those pairings can work in that late game push for Fafnir. But that is a great passive. Not that you would use YDG just for his passive and imprint on someone else, but great passive in fact. Okay, next up is Sphinx from the Aru faction, legendary, Guardian of the Sands, Defender archetype, purple or eternal affinity, chaos alignment, high HP, high defense, high res, good speed, good initiative. Looks like just an awesome champ. Just looks cool. Like just a great looking champion. Very likely going to be carrying and providing that defense and that tankiness for a team late game. Then we have Pangu from the Tian faction. Sorry, I was blanking for a second there. Pangu from the Tian faction, Brawler archetype, Eternal or Purple Affinity, Order Alliance, high HP, 2,500 HP, so very high, some of the highest in the game. Good attack, good defense, good speed, good initiative, good res. I mean, Pangu is going to be a hero that you are going to be very happy if you pull and have on your team. That is a guarantee. Pangu. And he mentions, like, look at the detail and design on the backside of him here, and we'll see if maybe he pulls that out and uses it as part of one of his moves. Who knows? I don't know. But that axe looks awesome, and it's got the world there, and it's the, sort of the world is hidden there within his axe. All right, we're down to the last three. Odin from the Asgard faction, the Allfather, a disruptor, eternal or purple affinity, and an order alliance. So you can see not bad HP, good, decent attack, very high initiative. In fact, the highest initiative in the game at 103, good speed at 97, 52 accuracy. Tells me, going to be putting out debuffs and disables. So we're going to want them fast and with good accuracy. But this is Odin, who made it in. We didn't think Odin was going to be in the alpha, but he became one of the 67 that made it in. We then get to see his leader bonus, plus 70 accuracy in all battles. We also get to see his ultimate, called Ragnarok. Attack all enemies and decreases their divinity by 30%. If an enemy's divinity is fully depleted by the attack, has a 25% chance to instantly kill them. That's cool. Cannot kill bosses in this way, obviously, yeah. Gains 75 divinity when stealing turn meter from an enemy. Starts initial divinity with 200. Ultimate costs 1700. What a cool ultimate this is to if the enemy has very low divinity and he decreases it by 30%, it will instantly kill them. Oh my word, that could be very useful for wiping out waves. Odin looks powerful. I don't think you needed me to tell you that, but looking at his kit, wow, looks really good. Glad they included him. All right, so then next up we have Horus from the Aru faction, the Eye of Aru, Defender archetype, Eternal or Purple affinity, Order Alliance. High HP, almost 2,500, high defense, good speed, and good resistance. This is Horus, a good defensive option for you. His basic Havoc Force attacks an enemy with a 50% chance to place taunt for 1 turn. Also heals 75% times defense. I guess probably it heals him. If Isis is on the team, she's healed by the same amount. So you can see that he has taunt and he gets healed by a multiplier of his defense, and he can heal Isis if she's on the same team. So that works very well, and I think he shows his core, and it does attack 1 enemy, 75% chance to place speed down 2, and blunt 2, which blunts the impact of attacks for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. I'm sure that'll get down to 3 turns with scrolls. Then his ultimate, Omniscient Eye, place shield buff, 400% times defense on all allies. So you can stack up his defense, and that shield is going to be pretty strong. If Isis is on the team, this shield cannot be removed and is 50% stronger. Then has a 75% chance to place taunt for 2 turns on all enemies. I bet that scrolls up to 100. He gains 50 divinity when damaged by an enemy. He gains an additional 50, so 100 when the enemy is under taunt and hits him and damages him. Really, Horus, this idea of Horus and Isis together looks to be a very powerful start to a very hard to kill team. Last up, we have Aphrodite. You see her leader bonus. We knew this already, 20% speed in all battles. She is also a very good hero that we're looking at. So she is a legendary hero from the Olympus faction, Heavenly Desire, an Invoker, so she's healing and a bad A buffer. She's Eternal Affinity or Purple. She's Chaos Alliance. She has decent HP, decent defense, good speed 102, good initiative 100. Like I said, only a few champions have 100 of both, and decent resistance. So Aphrodite also has some interesting parts to her kit. Her core ability, or her basic, attacks an enemy. Allies under speed up 2 and initiative up 2 join the attack as a joint attack. So if she places her buffs, then she gets a joint attack. They use their basics. After attacking, she puts a speed up 2 on herself and keeps going faster, basically. So she is a great speed up And she brings an ally attack as well, or a joint attack as well, which is really powerful. Only Shamash brings that. All right, everybody. Well, that is all we have for you in this week's this leak from Simon Says and the Fateless folks putting out Godforge leaks. We are only 2 weeks away from the start of the Alpha Cavern testing, and we'll be streaming live content as we go through the Alpha Cavern. I want to thank you for sticking with me all the way through the end as we went through 67 different heroes. Thanks for sticking around. Take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.